Illustrator's strength is its ability to manipulate the vector-based paths that we draw in many different ways. Let's take a look at how easy it is to join and modify paths inside of Illustrator. Now, I'm beginning this video with the modifypath.ai file already open on my computer. And what I want to show you is how easy it is to join various paths together or multiple points of a path together as well. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to show you what if we grabbed the line segment tool and we drew a line such as this, and then we drew another line as well, such as this. Now, you can't really see this, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to marquee both of them, and I'm just going to apply a colored stroke to these paths. So let's say that these paths I want to join together, because right now they are two separate paths, and that creates a couple of different problems, one of which is we don't have a very good join right here because, well, they're not joined together. So what we could do is, using the direct selection tool, I'm going to marquee this area. And it's hard to see, but I have both of the anchor points selected. And so if I go to my object menu and I choose Path Join, you can see the shortcut is Command-J on Mac or Control-J on Windows. It's going to join those two ends together. And now if I click off of it and click back on, you can see that it's one path. It just has three different anchor points to it. And if I were to marquee these two anchor points and use the shortcut Command or Control-J, it's going to now complete the path. So the possibilities are endless here. We could just go ahead and distort these in a number of different ways and create the shape that we want. Using the direct selection tool, I can just select one anchor point at a time to create the shape that I'm looking for. Now, I'm going to go ahead and delete that because we're going to go to our artwork right here, and we need to create some icons for a web page that we're creating. And so what I'm going to do here is, this is a partially drawn shape, and using my direct selection tool, I'm just going to marquee across the bottom here to select both of these anchor points, and we're going to press Command-J on our keyboard to close or join that path. Perfect. Now I'm going to zoom in here because this is going to be the front of a tent icon, a tent that we go camping in. And so we want to put a doorway in here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and select this path with my direct selection tool. And I'm now going to switch over to my pen tool. Now I want to show you that underneath the pen tool, if I click and hold on this, we have a couple of other tools that are very helpful for modifying paths. We have an Add Anchor Point tool, a Delete Anchor Point tool, and a Convert Anchor Point tool. However, we're not actually going to choose those tools because doing so would take a whole lot of time and make it a lot longer to get the job done. So I'm going to keep the pen tool selected. And what I'm going to do is, down here, you can see I have my Smart Guides turned on, and that's going to be helpful in this exercise. So if you want to go to View and choose Smart Guides, make sure that's checked. And so when I get the icon or the guide telling me that I'm centered, I'm just going to hover over the path. And you can see that my pen tool now has a plus sign next to it. Now I'm just going to go ahead and click once to add an anchor point. Now I'm going to move over a little bit, and you'll have to use your own judgment. I'm going to move over about to here, and I'm going to add another anchor point. And I'm going to move over here, and my Smart Guides should kick in when I get a distance that's equally far from the center anchor point as the one I just created. And I'll click again to insert another anchor point. Now, in the same regards, if I hover over an existing anchor point, I will get the Remove Anchor Point tool. So I'll click, and that'll remove that anchor point from the path. And I'm going to undo that because I want to keep that. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to hold down the Command key on Mac or the Control key on Windows. And what you might want to do, if you hold down the Command or Control key and you're getting your selection tool, the black arrow, then what you want to do is come up here, click on your direct selection tool, then go back to the pen tool to reset that. And now when you hold down Command or Control, you should get your direct selection tool. And I'm going to click on this middle point to make it active. And then I'm going to drag straight up. You can add the Shift key if you want to. to about the center of the triangle. That looks pretty good. And that is going to move that anchor point to that location, and it's going to create kind of a pyramid, a triangle in the middle here. But I want a rounded doorway. Now, the thing is, if I click on this to modify it, I'm actually going to remove it. Not what I want. So let's undo that. But instead, if you hold down the Alt or Option key on your keyboard, this is how you access the Convert Anchor Point tool. And if I hold down the Alt or Option key and I click on that anchor point and I drag to the right, you can add the Shift key as you start dragging. Now I'm converting that corner point to a smooth point. And I'm going to go ahead and let go. And we can now see that we have a curved area there. And if you want, you can modify this a little bit more. I'll hold down Command or Control, and I'll just kind of slide this up a little bit more. And there's the doorway to my tent. So it's easy to modify an existing path and essentially create something out of something that doesn't even exist. So you can see out of 2 lines we started with a couple of clicks, we created a tent with a doorway. Perfect. Now, what I'm going to do to just finish this off, if you go to your Layers panel, I put the remainder of the art for this icon on a new layer. So I'm just going to turn on the visibility of the new art layer. And I'll just zoom out a little bit. What I'm going to do here is I'm going to highlight all of this. And you can see that we've created another line to create kind of a divider for the tent. And I filled that with a color of 100% of CMYK. You could also fill it with black in RGB mode as well. But I'm just going to select all of this content, and I'll go ahead and over here in the Layers panel, I'm going to highlight both of these layers, go to the Panel menu, and choose Merge Selected, and that'll merge it into its own layer. I'm now going to go to Object and choose Group. I'm going to go to the Transparency panel and change the blending mode to Screen, and then I'm going to turn on the Knockout Group checkbox, and that's going to ensure that that black line doesn't really show up, but instead is knocking out the white area of that group. So if I press Command 0, we've got a nice icon that we can use for our tent. There are so many ways that you can join and modify paths in Illustrator. Understanding how they work and the possibilities available will allow you to create artwork the way you want, quickly and easily.